In this video, we are going to see how you can deploy your Digitalocean droplet with an SSH key. So if you don't already have an SSH key on your Digitalocean account, I'm going to show you how you can generate the key on your computer, whether you're on a Mac, Windows, or Linux. And then I'm going to show you how you can add the key onto your Digitalocean account. And then after that, we're going to deploy a droplet and we're going to use that key as our default key. And then we're going to see how you can log in with that key. Your keys are usually here under settings. If you go to your Digitalocean settings and then you go to security, this is where you will find your keys. So you can see, I don't already have a key. I don't have a key, but I'm going to add one once we generate it. If you're on Windows, you can still follow along with me. I'm on a Linux computer, but you can still follow along with me. And how can you do that? You'll go to Google and you'll search for Git. And then you go to Git SCM. This is the official Git website. And then here you're going to go into downloads, or you can just search for Git downloads and this page will show up. And you'll click to download for Windows. Download for Windows. So you can download standalone, portable. Most probably you're using a 64-bit system. So just download the standalone version, install it. And then once you install it, go to your start and open up Git Bash. You're going to use Git Bash to follow along with me. Once you open Git Bash, you can follow along with all the commands that we're going to use in this video. If you're on a Mac, open up terminal. The commands should work. I don't think there's anything that's missing on a Mac that would prevent you from using SSH keygen. If it is not there, you can just use brew to install it. Brew, install whatever you want to install. I've opened up my terminal and I'm going to generate the key. First step, let's generate the key. So I don't want to type anything, so I'm just going to go to this page. I recently created a tutorial for Ubuntu 22.04 initial server setup, and that's the one I'm going to use here. So Ubuntu, if you go to Ubuntu 22, that's going to redirect you to this page. So Bizanosa /Ubuntu 22, that's going to redirect you to the initial server setup for Ubuntu. And then if I scroll somewhere here, there is Ubuntu create SSH. Yeah, there. So if you go to Ubuntu 22.04 SSH key login, we need to generate the key. So to generate the key, we're going to use SSH keygen. And you can see in my case, let me just copy this. So I will just copy this here. So this will help us generate the key. I'm going to explain it in a moment. Let me also copy the one for how to log in. SSH copy ID, that one is for copying it onto the server. I need to log in with my SSH key. It's just going to be my IP address and the identity of the key. Copy, I'll put that on there. So this is the one for logging in and this is the one for generating the key. An explanation for this, SSH keygen. SSH keygen, this is a command that will tell your computer to generate the key. -t, this will tell us the type of key to generate. In my case, I'm generating RSA. And the bits, I mean, we're generating a key of size 4096 bits. So if you're in the modern era, some people prefer to use ED 25519 key. So if you prefer to generate that different key, you'll just remove this. And I don't know if -t is necessary. Let's just try ED 25519. So this is a different type of key, and that's a different type of key to tell us the type of key. -f signifies the file name. You can give it any name. And the good thing about defining a file name for your keys is that if you have multiple keys, you can give them different names. If you just generate your key using SSH keygen without giving any parameters here, you might override your keys in future, and that's not a good thing. So make sure when you're generating your key, you give them a file name. So the file name for that, we will store it in this directory and we'll put it inside of this directory. If the directory doesn't exist, create it in advance, and you're going to see how to do that. So I just want to I want to rename it. Let's call it DO for DigitalOcean key. DO EDD. So that will signify this other key, and you can give it any name you prefer. This one as well, I'll just call it DO RSA. So this is just as a sample. These are options, but you can use the first one to generate your key if you want key of RSA. I will start with this one. So I know this folder exists in my directory. If the folder doesn't exist, you need to create it. All right. So let me just give it a different name. That way, I'll call it DO. And then I will copy that. The first thing we need to do, we need to create this folder. And once you create this folder, we're going to generate our key. So if you want to create a folder in Linux, this will work on your Windows as well, as long as you're using git bash. Just do sudo. I don't need sudo in this directory. Make directory -p. -p will tell the system to create the folders that don't already exist. If any folder here doesn't exist, it will be created. If the child folder or the parent folder doesn't exist, whichever doesn't exist will be created. So I'm going to do that. And once I do that, this folder has been created. Now the next step is for me to generate the key. Let me start by this one because I've never used this key before. Let's just see if I will need the -t. So if you're confused, know that these are two different types of keys. You can create an RSA key or this. I'm just doing this to experiment with it. Paste, and all right, we can generate the key, and we're going to generate an ED 25519 key. And normally you should give your key a passphrase. The only time you should not give your key a passphrase, maybe you want to use this for logging into multiple servers automatically, then don't give it a passphrase. But if you're going to use this to log in manually, then you can add a passphrase, and you should add a passphrase so that if someone gets this key, they will not be able to log in with it unless they know the passphrase. So I'm just going to press enter so that I don't need the key, so that I don't enter a passphrase. And once I do this, the key is generated. And if you go to SSH folder, there, we go there, we're going to see we have these two keys. So you can see we have these two keys, and we can use this for logging in. So for the other one, you can generate that one as well. If you want to generate an RSA key, you can do that, but I'm not going to do that. I've done this so many times in almost all my videos. I've always used RSA. For this one, let me use ED255 key. And you can see the ED255 keys are actually much shorter. So if I open this with another application, I can open this with Visual Studio Code. So if I open this with VS Code, you can see it is a very short one. And I can see this one is here, and I didn't tell you what it is. If you come back here, you'll see that there is dash. Is there a -c? Oh, I didn't add a -c, but you can always add a -c. That is just a comment. And it has automatically put the comment as my username and my host name on this computer. So the -c is usually just a comment. Right, so once we generate the key, we're going to need to add the key inside of DigitalOcean. So I'll just click there on add SSH key, and I shouldn't have closed Visual Studio Code. Let me just open. Now the key that you want to add is .pub. Whether you're on Windows, as long as you're using git bash, just find the .pub key and you can open it with Notepad. But I would suggest you use Visual Studio Code so that it doesn't give you any errors in terms of formatting. So once I open the key, I can just copy the key, and then I will bring it into my DigitalOcean. So we've said you go to settings, security, and then you'll find SSH key. So once you add your key there, you can see it's a very short key. If you create an RSA key, you'll see it's a very long one. You just need the public key, the one with the .pub extension. That's the one that you add here. Now I can give it a name. Let me call it default. Add SSH key. All right, so we are ready to create our droplet and then use it to log in, and then we're going to see how we can use this command to log in. Right, so we're going to need the path to our key. So if you go back here, you're going to find that you're already given the path to your keys. You can save both of them. You can see your identification has been saved there and your public key has been saved here. So you can always copy that, but that is .pub. We need this to log in. If you want to log in, you need to log in with a private key. So I'm going to come in here and I will just paste it in there, and just remember that your home directory is the same as just putting a tilde there. So that's why in this one you can see the tilde. That's just your home directory. So I'm going to SSH. I still don't know my IP, but once I get it, I'm going to put all the other details here. So for now, let's just come back here and let's see if I can deploy a droplet. So manage, go into manage, and you'll choose droplets. I want to deploy one droplet. I'll click there, create a droplet. I don't have any balance in my account. I don't know if it's going to allow me to create it. So New York, yeah, I'll just choose San Francisco, or I can go with London. Let me choose London. So choose a location where your visitors are most probably are. And then you can use VPC network. You can use the default network. And this is created by default. The network, now networking, I think you can create a network there, especially if you want to run Kubernetes, self-managed Kubernetes, you'll probably need a network, a VPC network. So just forget about that. We'll just use the default and then choose an image. We're going to use Ubuntu. You can use all these different operating systems. I'm going to use Ubuntu, and we are going to use Ubuntu LTS. So if you are running a production server, always avoid all these other versions of Ubuntu. If it doesn't have a 04, then don't use it. Use something with a 04 because that is a long-term supported Ubuntu. So choose a size. So size, there are different types of servers that you'll have here. You can see you can have basic currently selected. You can have general purpose servers. You'll see all these different types of servers you can choose from, CPU optimized. But normally you just want the shared CPU basic servers. So we can start with $7 a month. And I don't know why this is $7 a month, unless it went up. It used to be $5. No, actually that's because I've chosen premium AMD. You can choose regular SSD, and that's going to be $6 a month. And then additional storage. If you want to add volumes, you can add a volume that you can use along with your VPS. You can just add some space that you can use with your virtual server. But I'm going to skip that. I don't need to add any volumes. Then choose authentication method. So the good thing is that we've already added an SSH key. So this is the recommended way for you to deploy your server. That's why I'm doing this video. You can also do a password if you don't have an SSH key. So you'll just set up your password there. Make sure it's one that you can remember, because it won't be sent to you. I don't think the password will be sent to you. Yeah, they actually say that there. You will not be sent an email containing your password. They'll only send you the IP. If you use a password, make sure you save it somewhere. But I want to use SSH key. We're going to use our default key. I gave it the name default. Whichever name you gave for your key, you can add it there. If you want to add multiple SSH keys to your Digitalocean account, you can do that, and you saw how you do that. You just generate another key and then you add the key there. I will recommend these options: add improved metrics, enable monitoring. Yes, if it is free, I will enable that. Going to production, enable backups. You can enable backups. Add worry-free managed database. I don't need a database for this. It is just a sample. Finalize the details. All right. So the host name, give your server a host name. So I can call mine sample dot. So the host name, just give it a fully qualified domain name as a host name, and then you can give it a tag. Maybe for this server you'll be deploying WordPress, so you can tag it WP. And then the project, I didn't talk about projects, but if you come here, you can create a project. Project is basically just a housing for all your servers on DigitalOcean. So if you need a different project, maybe you want this to go under a different project, you can create the different project there. $6 a month, yes. So I will create the droplet. All right, it has been created, or it's been created. If I click on it, if you click on demos, you'll be able to see all the available servers. You can see it's still being created. If we click on it, we should be seeing the details here by now. IPv6 not enabled. What I'm looking for is my IP. All right, there we go, my IP. So I will copy the IP. I need to log in with this IP. So if we come back to our notepad text here, if you want to log into your server, just remember this is the identity of our private key. We want to log in. We're going to do SSH, and then the user by default is root on DigitalOcean, and then I will paste in my IP and then the identity of my key -i. So that's how you log in to your server. SSH user, if you create it for a different user, your IP, and then the identity of the key. So note that we only need the identity of the key because we gave, when generating our key, we gave it a file name. So it didn't have the default name. Normally, most keys are created with a default name, which is a bad way of creating SSH keys, and you should not create them that way. When you're creating your keys, make sure you give them a file name. That way, you can put them in different directories if you want to, and you can create as many keys as you need to. This is much easier to manage. So I'm just going to copy this so that we can log into our Ubuntu server. So I'm going to copy, and you can see the server is on. Control L to clear the screen, and then I'm just going to do Control Shift V. And if you're on Windows, I think if you do right click, you'll be able to see paste or copy on Git bash. So let's see if I will be able to log in. And yes, our server is up. So we need to accept this server into our hosts file on the local computer. So I'm just going to type yes and then enter. Enter. Permanently added, and you can see we are now logged into our server. So if I do Control L, we can see if we need any updates. Sudo. I don't really need sudo. I'm on root. I'm the root user. I don't need sudo. I'm just going to do apt update to see if there are any updates. 1 of 4 packages can be upgraded. I'll do apt upgrade to upgrade our server, and I will type yes. You can type yes whenever you see Y is capital or N is capital. If you press enter, that is the default. In this case, Y is capital, which means that if I press enter, then yes is the default. So you can let it update and all, but I don't really need to use this server for anything. So I'm just going to come back here, and I'm going to delete the server because I don't need it. So if I want to delete the server, let me click there on demos, and it will show me this, and I can click there to destroy. I need to destroy the server. I can just click on destroy this droplet. And before I can destroy the droplet, I need to enter the name of my droplet. So I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to paste. Destroy, and that should get rid of this so I don't get charged. I don't want to get charged for something I'm not using. All right, so just to recap, in this video, you've seen how you can generate your SSH keys. So come here into this post. You can just go to the quick link or bizanosa.com/ubuntu22, and then you come here and you can copy this so that it can help you if you go all the way to the top and you come here to Ubuntu SSH key login. You can get this and it will help you generate your key. You can change the details as much as you need to. You can see here, as I said, I did generate an RSA key, but normally most people say that RSA is not as safe as the other one, but that's really not true. You can see here we're using 4096 bits. That's safe. You can use that. The only thing is that this will give you a longer key, and if you generate this key, you'll see that it's a very long key. But you can just copy it the same way that we copied that. I copy it, and then once I copy the public key, remember to copy the one with .pub. So the one with .pub, that's the one that you need to copy. And once you copy the one with .pub, open it up in Visual Studio Code and then copy the content, add it on DigitalOcean under Settings, Security, and then copy the key details here, the public key details here, and then give it a name. And once you do that, you can log into your server. So I can just close this because I've already destroyed the server anyway. And once you do that, you can log in. So to log in, you just do SSH, the username, your IP address, and the identity of your key. So the identity of the key, remember, you're using the private key. The public key had .pub. All right, I hope this video will help you to create your DigitalOcean droplet with an SSH key. If the video is too long, just bear with me. I wanted to tell you everything in one video. See you in another video.